So the underlying concept of this article written by Mr. Ashok Gulati is regenerative agriculture. What is this concept? Why do we need it? And let's look at the context first so that you understand the underlying concept. What is the context? See, the context is agriculture. Traditionally in India, how is agriculture viewed? It's a source of food security. That is the policy imperative for government. Like if they had to view agriculture through a policy lens, the number one priority would be to ensure food security. There was not much emphasis on environmental conservation. Okay, so that has been the main issue. Why is it an issue? Because of the policy choices that our government took, like say for example Green Revolution, MSP. Only a few pockets of our country has seen this trend of agriculture productivity getting increased. At the same time, the quality of the soil in that region has deteriorated. More or less, it's the same trend across the country, but it is more in the areas where Green Revolution was there. That's the problem. Alright. So, why on the 80th anniversary of FAO, this article was written there in that context. What is FAO? Food and Agricultural Organization. So the problem here is the soil organic content. Basically, everything in life is centered around this element of hydrocarbons, organic material. If something is supporting life form on earth, I would say it is all these organic compounds. And soil is a very good source of this carbon. The problem here is with the present model of agriculture, this soil organic carbon is getting eroded away. The other day we were talking about paddy stubble burning, right? Because of this stubble burning, we are not able to give farmers the time they need to let the soil rejuvenate. And if you have to look at the statistics, global average is somewhere around 1%. Now it is less than that, 0.3, somewhere around 0.3. Okay. So, soil organic content. Okay. So in India, the quality of soil is getting deteriorated. And if we have to focus on any specific crop, it would be two: pulses, oilseeds. Why? Oilseeds, the problem is, let's say all the oil, edible oil you get, refined oil, which is a mix and match of various oils, safflower, palm oil, rice bran oil, sunflower oil, all this. 50% of those seeds are imported from elsewhere. And the cost to exchequer because of these imports is very high. We are not only incurring an economic cost, but also spoiling our available land by overproducing this rice and wheat. Other facet is pulses. See, we were always focused on food security. We have to move away from food security to nutritional security. So nutrition is about having all the macro and micro ingredients. Macro will be about protein, fat, carbs, and micro is all about the vitamins and minerals that you can think of. Even today, people are just focused on the food security aspect, which is nothing but your carbohydrate. Recently, ICMR released a study saying that 62% of Indian diet is predominantly carbohydrate, which is way different from the global norm. And over and above that, the sedentary lifestyle combined with lack of enough protein in our diets is causing lifestyle diseases. See how one single policy choice has so many costs. Take a look at it. Health burden, environmental burden, economic burden, and regional inequality. All this are because of the present model of agriculture. I will ask you a question. Is it right to blame Green Revolution? Why? Because all of that are directly linked to Green Revolution. Correct. What does it tell you? Policy choices are supposed to be responsive to needs of the time. What is the difference between a reactive policy and a responsive policy? Most of our policy choices are reactive in nature. We have to be responsive. What do we do? Tell me, how will we solve this problem? Think of it. Right? Tell me, because I want you to think through common sense. I don't want to summarize what is there in an article. How do we solve this problem now? Crop diversification. Okay, what else? Boats. Boats for? Okay, product driven regulation. Okay, next. Regulatory boats. Leveraging biotechnology. For what? What do we do with biotech? Where all can we come? Where all can we use biotech? What problem are we solving? Climate resilient crops. What else? Okay, what is it about? Climate resilience. Productivity. What else can we do? Biotech. Seeds. Quality. Efficiency. Efficiency in what? Input use. So, in all this, if you go back to the basics of agriculture, you have an input side, processing and output. So, along this value chain, at every stage, you need a policy, you need a commodification or a product, you need technology or collaboration with private players, and finally you need a marketing engine. All of this should happen hand in hand, not just with a focus on money, not just with a focus on food security or nutritional security. It's high time that we balance all of this, and that is exactly what the article writer says, and he substantiated through some data. Clear? Okay. So you can go through this article, you will come across some private initiatives or private collaboration initiatives that can be quoted in the answers. but it's optional. Even if you don't quote it, or even if you're not aware of it, it's not going to harm you. It would be nice to know something, but it's not mandatory. Unleashing the right to repair. Again, let's say, how many of you use this use and throw pens? Almost a lot of people will be using these pens. What will happen to that pen the minute ink is over, like you dispose it off, right? Will that plastic be recycled? You don't know for sure, because you don't know where you're dumping it. There's no guarantee that it will go to the original equipment manufacturer. Let's say you are someone who is extremely environmentally, vigilant and very self-aware, and also rich. Please don't forget that fact, because environmental sustainability is expensive. If anyone is talking about environmental sustainability, consider them to be rich, because convenience sometimes can be, cheap. Anyway, coming back. So let's say you are someone who invested on a very nice product, a nice gadget, a tablet, phone, electronic device, anything. Let's say you bought an iPhone and something happened to that mobile and the motherboard got disturbed. If you take that to the Apple store, you know what he's going to say? This phone is bricked. A phone that costs around 1 lakh is just bricked because some water or some issue happened there and it can't be repaired, essentially rendering it useless. Why should that be the case? Why can't they repair it if they wish to? The present argument by many manufacturers is that if we invest in creating a universal design that can fit into these phones or anything that is replaceable, how are you going to incentivize us for our IP? What is the incentive for me to create these universal designs? Let's say, for example, you have a OnePlus phone and then you have a Apple phone. If an Apple phone, which costs around 2x or 3x the OnePlus phone, is destroyed because of some damage, if I can replace it with a part that is going to cost 1/10 of the original Apple product, why would I invest on that? Either collectively the entire ecosystem's cost should go up or it should come down if we are trying to universalize this. How do I arrive at a middle ground? Why should I come to a middle ground first of all? And that answer gives us the context behind this topic of right to repair. A collaborative effort between the government, OEMs, third-party repair participants can kickstart the right to repair movement in India. But why? Like I said, we do not have the ecosystem, the business ecosystem, to absorb all this additional waste generated in India. E-waste. Let's say you have a microchip which has some element of lithium on it and you extract it. The cost of extraction will not justify the amount of money one should invest in the technology at this point. And we need a lot of public-private partnerships to come together to collaborate. So we either invest there or we come together and bring down the cost together. What is a smart way to do? Would you take the first route or the second route? Companies will have an incentive to take the first route because they can pretty much dump that entire waste in some African country or some South Asian country. India at different points of time, India, Bangladesh, Philippines, Vietnam, all the Southeast Asian nations along with Africa sort of became a dumping ground for all this electronic waste. India has taken cognizance of this and they want to fix that issue. And the answer to that is right to repair. This is a movement that picked up, a lot of traction in European Union. I want to repair my products. I don't want to buy a new one the minute it is, damaged. Not only is it economically unviable, it is also not prudent to invest so much money. Again, when you can just fix a small part of it, provided the original equipment manufacturers or the OEMs support us. So this entire article is trying to showcase the practical difficulties. How do I address the practical difficulties, and why should I do it? Through an institutional public-private partnership angle, as well as even the moral and ethical angle, by appealing to the conscience of the users. So this is purely a conceptual question at a mains level, but if there is any initiative by a global body, you might have a initiative based question. Okay, just track this possibility. If you come across in any of your materials any initiative which talks about the reusing of materials, it can be a possible question in prelims. Okay, material efficiency is a theme in prelims. Right to repair is a extension, a logical extension, and a multidisciplinary question that is possible at mains level, policy level, environmental level, economic angle, and it considers all the stakeholders. That's why it's a very important topic. Okay, moving on. Foreign universities coming to India, reasons, potential benefits. Alright, long story short, how many of you have friends who have moved out of India for their higher education? Almost everyone, right? Why? Is it because foreign education is far more superior than Indian? Not necessarily. It depends on the kind of college you're taking an admission in, right? Yet, why are they going out? Because it becomes a very easy route for landing on a job. But why is it that companies recruit only after an MS? Is it because they learn significant skills there? We have many instances where most Indians and South Asians have to support themselves on part-time jobs, where they hardly get any time to study, yet they clear the exams. I'm not, trying to belittle their efforts. Life is difficult there. So the amount of time and the money that is invested there would rather be, picked up from a proper low-level education skill-based program in India as well. If education is all that they're giving, yet it is not the case. It's a large source of revenue for the entire continuum existing between the academia and the industry. What is the largest source of debt, domestic debt for US? It is student loan. Just like how in India farm loan waiver is a big issue, in US student loan waiver is a political issue, because it has reached unprecedented, unsustainable level. So foreign universities are looking out for additional revenue sources. India being the largest market, I'm sorry that I'm calling education as a market, because when you are driven by a profit motive, it becomes a market. So the positives, you'll get a conduit for establishing larger networks across the world. We can get to connect with our diaspora, good science and technology collaboration, spillover of ideas, all the positive things that you can think of associated with education, you'll get it. But here are some other dimensions too. What if let's say Oxford University is, don't smile, I know some of you must be thinking of the movie references, but let's come back. Oxford, let's say they have a Indian branch. Do you think they will have the same level of quality? What makes Oxford the Oxford University that it is? Because of its location, its network, connections, etc. Will it ever be as good as the original? Or will there be an attempt? Logically, it should be. But will there be? If yes, why would they do it on a foreign soil? Unless it's going to benefit them. It will create a dilemma for any foreign university which has already some Ivy League level status there. How do you overcome this? What sort of regulation should we bring in? How are they going to fund themselves? And how are they going to position themselves? Is it like a collaboration with the existing universities? Or they are going to be standalone? How do we regulate them? Or we don't regulate them at all? If we don't regulate them at all, how should, let's say for example, companies which are recruiting students from these kind of universities, they need to have a metric. How do they compare Indian students with, students who graduated from Indian colleges with students who graduated from these foreign universities? If we are trying to bring a level playing field, why do we have to bring them in the first place? If they want to do the same things that we are already doing, what value are they adding? So ideally speaking, they should have a sort of a collaboration and a student exchange program, and we normalize this at scale. This is where I envision how our education should move like. If India were to the skill capital of the world, we definitely need collaborative efforts, not just with foreign universities, but also foreign companies, research labs, philanthropic foundations, mobilize our resources and streamline. We need a separate ministry, not just an HRD ministry or a namesake education ministry, but a higher education separate ministry which focuses exclusively on this R&D efforts. I would rather say there are some redundant ministries now which needs to be wound up, clubbed with the existing ones, and reallocate those resources to, let's say, avenues like health services. We need a all India level education service, health service, the basic needs that create this so-called social capital. Are we moving in that direction by having this? If yes, how much? This evaluation is what you should be focusing on. It's an evolving theme, and I just introduced this. Please go back and read this in this direction. Think in this direction. Don't focus on mugging up the data. Okay, painting targets on cancer cells. This is about Google DeepMind's AI initiative, which is trying to understand how cells behave when you give them an immune therapy. The other day we were talking about immunotherapy. Remember, what is immunotherapy? A study of how our human body and its defense system, health defense system, works. We were talking about the white blood cells, T cells, B cells, and sometimes autoimmune disorders. Cancer is a dysfunction or a disorder of this entire cell breakdown or multiplication of cell. There needs to be a stage where this multiplication should stop. Cancer is a condition where this multiplication of cell doesn't stop and grows on into a tumor. Why? We don't know. This research is going to help us. Unlike the traditional AI systems, here this Google DeepMind system is completely dependent on understanding the data of how RNA interference and the involving cell replication models work. It focuses on a specific compound called interferon, or enzyme called interferon. And by understanding that, it will have a better picture of, let's say, how you, when you give a immune therapy, how will the body react? It will have a better understanding given your own environment. Not every human body will respond in a similar way, and we don't know why. So this is one of the higher level applications of AI, where it is trying to make human life better. Pharma, healthcare is one area where AI can grow leaps and bounds, but it also raises some important ethical issues. Where should we apply this AI? Is it okay to engineer designer babies? Imagine you have the best possible features, an IQ like that of Einstein, looks like Aishwarya Rai, like physics like Hrithik Roshan, lifespan like someone else, like whoever is the longest living person. Is it okay? No, right? So I'm not stopping just at cancer research and the use of AI. I'm extrapolating it to the domain of application of AI in healthcare. Even this issue has some ethical issues. Let's say, for example, if this theory or if this therapy indeed becomes a success, whatever research, is Google going to put it on open platform, like the solution? We don't know. Is there a guarantee that AI companies would not hold a monopoly? We don't know. These are the questions that we need to address. The global commons, as we all know, is something that nobody owns, but it is collectively owned by everyone on this earth. I personally believe that something of this sort should also belong to the global commons domain. And because this companies are investing in this research, they need to be incentivized over a large period of time in one way or the other. Give them a fair share. Otherwise, technology will get stagnated. There's no incentive for anyone to go in this kind of a research. That's the takeaway from this article. Contours of constitutional morality. I think there are some hundreds of times that we discuss this. So I'll sum it up in a single line. Having a constitution is not enough. Having a law is not enough. Having morality is also not enough. But how do we package them all together? The answer will give you the functioning idea behind democracy, constitutional morality. Let me explain what I mean. See, law, morals, this is a traditional topic in ethics. The gap between law and ethics. Law is the bare minimum. Moral is an aspiration. One without the other will fall flat. Let's say you are a very moral person, but if there is no law to enforce it, the other person might not believe that whatever you say is right. So we do need a law. Let's say we only focus on a law. You jump a signal, nobody is catching you. The purpose of a law is to ensure that something bad doesn't happen. Just because someone is not watching you, you're getting away with it. One bad day, something can happen. Law is designed for that purpose. and it requires morality to stop ourselves from doing it even when law is not observing. Both go hand in hand. And this philosophy that constitution should also be there in letter and also in spirit is nothing but constitutional morality. How do we do that? Through separation of powers, checks and balances. And you can read the various judicial cases and how Supreme Court interpreted this idea of constitutional morality with respect to, let's say, federalism, with respect to how bureaucracy should function, or how each constitutional post should, solve a certain problem. Okay, all this are discussed in the article and also in various previous articles also, which I posted on the Telegram channel. Please go through those older articles also. It will completely sum up whatever you need to know about this topic. Why IUCN red flagged the Western Ghats? See, recently there is a report from IUCN which flagged 3 Indian sites: Western Ghats, Manas National Park and Sundarbans. These 3 areas have 3 different reasons for getting environmentally degraded, but at the heart, the common thread tying them all together is the anthropogenic factor, involvement of human beings there. So this report is highlighting the need for a conservation effort in Western Ghats, in Manas National Park, as well as Sundarbans, because they are at an inflection point, a point beyond which, if they go, they cannot come back. They cannot be repaired with that level of comfort. Take the case of 2018 Kerala floods. Sundarbans, it is one of the lowest lying areas in the world, and they act as a cushion against coastal erosion. We are indiscriminately constructing roads, encroachments. There are encroachments. Even the lakes and the water bodies in those areas are getting encroached, which is leading to a higher carbon footprint and also an ecological instability. There are 4 broad areas where we need to work: encroachments, pollution, invasive alien species, and nature-based solutions. All of these areas, when clubbed together, will create a ecologically sensitized plan that can restore that balance in these areas. These are the broader principles. Also, having said that, this particular report also talks about some specific solutions with respect to those regions. So please go through those important facts, and they can be important in prelims also. So this article, I highly recommend that you store it. See, this is how UPSC is like. You have seen in the past few months there is not much of an activity in newspapers. No important news were coming. But the moment people start relaxing, all the important news come back into the discussions. These are not new. These are always there. So the aspirants have a belief that, okay, I know this. But the devil is always in the details. And that's where UPSC focuses on. And that's where most UPSC aspirants who are relaxing between October and January, only to wake up in January for some sort of a compilation. Compilations can get you information, not insight. You know the difference between information and insight? You will know soon. Okay, dark sky reserves. Another important concept for prelims. Very important, in fact. What is a dark sky reserve? An area which is not polluted either by light pollution or any particulate matter like aerosols. what is the purpose of this dark sky reserve? It is trying to understand the astrophysics and the movements of stars, observe them, and learn their behavior. And to be able to do that, you need undisturbed, completely pollution free, when I say pollution, light pollution free areas, so that the stars and their luminosity is not impacted by the lights that are there in that region, the way we capture that. So Ladakh is one of the most favorable areas for having a dark sky reserve. So the rest of the article is about, it's like a narrative, okay? So you don't have to focus on all the narratives there, but what are the geophysical characteristics that made this site the ideal one for a dark sky reserve? I've posted that on the Telegram channel. Please go back and have a look at it. Okay? So these are the important concepts for the day. Please don't ignore from now on. The intensity of the articles will get slightly more. Eventually, whenever we will have an opportunity, we will cover, let's say, the backlog of science and tech and environment articles of the last 4-5 months together clubbed in various classes. I will see, according to my convenience, we will plan it and finish them. Okay? That's it for the day. Have a good day.